Back to FDR. I want to just a little bit more of this. He says, no people, least of all a people with our traditions of personal liberty, will endure the slow erosion of opportunity for the common man, the oppressive sense of helplessness under the domination of a few, which are overshadowing our whole economic life. The power of a few to manage the economic life of a nation must be diffused among the many or be transferred to the public and its democratically responsible government. In other words, business has screwed this thing up bad, and we have to be the counterweight. We, the people, government. This is why the whole big government meme, this is why it, for 40, 50 years, billionaires and big corporations have spent hundreds of millions of dollars to get their shills out there on TV, the George Wills of the world, to get the Stephen Moores of the world, the Republican politicians of the world on TV to talk about the evils of big government, because big government is the only thing strong enough to take on big business. And big business doesn't like that. You understand how this works? So when you hear some Tea Partier or some Republican or the guy who works next to you go off on, government's too big, you know that you're talking to a sucker. One of the people who has been successfully brought along is made up of rich people and suckers. One of the people who has been brought along by the shills. FDR goes, these people in and out of the halls of government who encourage the growing restriction of competition are shouldering a terrific responsibility. The restriction of competition, what he's talking about is mergers and acquisitions. They are working for centralized business and financial control. They are therefore either working for control of the government itself by business and finance, or the other alternative, a growing concentration of public power in the government to cope with such a concentration of private power. In other words, if you don't like big government, break up big business. Use the antitrust laws. He said the enforcement of free competition is the least regulation business. The traditional approach to the problems I have discussed has been through the antitrust laws. That approach we do not propose to abandon. To meet the situation I've described, there should be a more thorough study of the concentration of economic power in American industry and the effect of that upon the decline of competition. I would suggest that we're a corporation. Now, keep in mind, like Jamie Dimon at J.P. Morgan Chase, the company is convicted of crimes, felonies. They pay a fine in Elizabeth Warren's office, and she says, I think what you're doing is against the law. And he says, so fine me. Leans back, puts his feet up on her desk or something like that. So this is what FDR said. As a really effective deterrent to personal wrongdoing, I would suggest that where a corporation is enjoined from violating the law, in other words, if a corporation gets nailed the way Chase has, the court might be empowered to enjoin the corporation for a specified period of time from giving any remunerative employment or any official position to any person who has been found to bear a responsibility for the wrongful corporate action. In other words, all the people at J.P. Morgan Chase who participated in the crime of which that bank was convicted, if they're not going to go to jail, at least the law could say they may no longer work there. They would lose their jobs. He says, as a further deterrent to corporate wrongdoing, government purchases from companies guilty of unfair or monopolistic practices. Sorry, defense contractors A, B, C, and D, you are too big. You are unfair monopolies. I'm sorry, J.P. Morgan Chase, but we're not going to run our food stamp things through you anymore because you're guilty of unfair monopoly. In fact, he gets into banks. He says bank holding companies. Now, they used to call them holding companies back in the 30s. Now we just call them banks. J.P. Morgan Chase used to be like, a bunch of other banks. And they all merged together into this one. And the same is true of the other big five banks. He says it's hardly necessary to point out the great economic power that might, wielded by a group which may succeed in acquiring domination over banking resources in any considerable area of the country. It's amazing.